Hi, kids. How are you?
There
Can you guys
she
hear me
is.
too? Oh, good. I'm gonna fix my plants waving in the background because that's so distracting. Okay, we're good.
Your plant's saying hello.
Yes, they are. They like to say hello and be part of the fun. Hi, you guys. How are you?
Hey,
How's
everyone.
everybody doing? Yay.
I just want to
So,
give a shout out to Dawn that's here, Dawn Pratt. I'm wearing one of her necklace pendants here. She does
oh,
some flow
cool.
art, and I have on one of her pieces.
Nice. And you're all matching and everything like an awesome person. I'm
I was feeling the whale
matching too,
energy.
see? Nothing and nothing.
I
Sorry,
know.
Dad.
Guys, we have to get Christy in some accessories.
I tried it once, it just didn't take.
It didn't, just didn't stick.
I, I'll just let the looking awesome be with you guys to do that.
For sure. So, for those of you that don't know what's going on here, my name is Christi Friesen. You may know me from Softlex Company. That's how Christy and I are connected and work together and collaborate in a lot of ways. But I'm also a expressive artist and a creativity guide. We go through pulling an oracle card each month, and this month was whale energy and its breach. And as soon as I saw this card, I was like, I want to see if my friend Christy is available. Because this card, I just know that she likes to go whale watching. She is in Maui. She does a lot of ocean and island inspired motifs. And
Yeah,
I was like, hey, have you done anything with whales? And of course I have. Of course I have.
right.
So
And
I'm so
it's such
happy
a
to
great
have her
energy.
here.
It says that's something about Maui that is such an amazing, beautiful place. Is you have these things like the turtles and the whales that are very amazing for people to connect with, and the whales especially. They are something just so cool. So the humpbacks come and migrate here. Maybe it's migration. I don't know what it is, but they come here they start at the late fall, early winter, but the peak season is February, March, and they come down here because it's a vacation for whales as well. They're coming down here to kind of party and then have their children and do their thing, and it is amazing to watch. You're going to talk more about the breach, so I don't want to get ahead of the game, but I am fascinated by watching the breaches, especially. So when we go on the whale watching boats and stuff like that, just having them come up near the boat is amazing, but especially when they jump, and you have not lived until you've seen a baby humpback whale learning how to breach. So it's just like,
Just like,
doing it now. It's so beautiful. It's the best thing ever. They don't sound like that. I just do the sound
oh,
for them.
that is your own expression of how they
That's
must
how I
feel.
would sound if I was a whale breaching. I'm just saying.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm just going to read what this card means, the energy here. So if you want to get your stuff set up while I'm doing that, you're more than welcome to do it. If
I'm
you
ready.
have it already, I'll just hang out and then we'll go down to your table. I don't know what this is, but I have a thing of clay here. I think this is like a polymer clay because it's
Yes.
soft. I have to
Yes.
bake it.
Yes.
But I also grabbed my epoxy sculpt
Ah.
because and one of your bezels because I have one that felt very. Do you still have these? Do you still sell these
I
these
only
big
have a
bezels?
very few of those left. I made the original and we had them cast, and then I think there's maybe a dozen left. They're on my
Yeah.
site. They're called Flow, so you could put it in the up in the search bar for Flow. So if you want one,
Mm.
anybody out there, grab one
So
because they're almost gone.
I
Aren't they
I
lovely?
might play with this while you play with the polymer. I might play with the epoxy and the bezel. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I did pull this out just in case. But I
Yeah.
don't know what I'm doing with this. That is this is a very foreign,
I
material for me.
understand that. I mean, we all have our things that we vibe with creatively, right? And it's like our fingers have a match. For some
Yes.
people, it's sculptural things. Some people, it's painting. Some people, whatever. Yeah.
And I love clay and all that stuff, especially when I was younger in high school and in college. But it's been so long
Yeah.
since I really worked with
Oh,
it,
I get it.
and
Yeah.
I've never really spent much time with the stuff you bake. So
Yeah.
that's like a whole different thing.
Yeah.
But okay, let's talk about our whale energy, and then we'll do a little demoing with clays and whatnot. Um, all right, so this is from the Earth Magic Oracle card deck. This powerful creature of the ocean takes a few great sweeps with his fins and propels himself briefly out of the waters where he spends the majority of his life. He's taking a break from the ordinary, taking a break from the ordinary element in which he lives to exist even for a few moments in the realms of blue skies and sun. Having broken through the skin of the ocean in a magnificent display of fullness and strength. All baleen whales breach, but none more spectacularly than the humpbacks. They're considered the acrobats of this family. They arch, they stretch, they twist their bodies, even as they approach the surface of the water in what may be an ancient mating ritual and a form of communication, or even a way just to remove parasites. So in this image, the humpback whale that has burst out of the ocean expresses an almost palpable feeling of release and joy. Often when we manage to change our environment to break through illusionary blockages, we experience an intense feeling of relief, and we can let go of any previously held fears and assumptions of what would happen once we did overcome that barrier, whether it's material, emotional, or mental. Simply getting away from the trance of technology, although we are here today enjoying what technology has offered
Yes. Yes.
for a few hours and spending that time in nature is a breach from the trappings of civilization that can sometimes suffocate us and prevent us from connecting to the earth. So this card is telling us that it's time to take a break, not just a coffee break, but an actual respite from the usual environment you find yourself in. You know, maybe in that spirit, I should play with these things.
I think you talked yourself right into
I
that one,
think I
didn't you?
talked myself right into it. Yeah.
You know, I was just listening to what you're reading there, and there's so much in all that I think was so powerful and so interesting because this is a kind of a journey I've been taking myself lately, and I think so many of us are right now. But that idea of getting out of a familiar and into something else, it is really not known why humpbacks breach. All those things have been conjectured, but I'll tell you, just being here and watching them and being up close, there is nothing more exciting than if you are nearby, and I've been in this situation so many times where you are close enough to see the whale underwater and see their eyes as they come up and just leap. And you know, sometimes I really do think that they are just trying to see what else is going on, just like we do sometimes as we like
What's
try to
happening
kind of
up
get a
there?
feeling of something
Yeah.
else. And I was so struck the first year I lived here. It was we went down to the ocean a lot and just sat and watched the sunset, because the sunsets here, as they are so many places, but we have a very consistently colorful sunset. They're usually quite dramatic. And the breaching at sunset, they breach all the time, but it was usually, in my opinion, a lot more. And
Right.
I think those whales see the color and they're just jumping up there to look at the
To
sunset
see
just
what's
like we are. So
going on.
yeah,
Yeah.
even the simplest thing of like stopping your day, because I have to remember to do this too. It's so dumb to get outside to watch the sunrise, watch the sunset, be in nature. You know, that being feet in the ground, grounding, seeing and letting nature be part of you, looking at the flowers and smelling and feeling the wind. I mean, those things break up the day
Yeah.
in a way that I think is so much more dramatic than we realize. So I've been trying to do that
Yeah.
myself too, because I have no excuse. I mean, it's right there. All the ocean, everything is right across the street. So I've got no excuse not to kind of break out and go do the thing. It has nothing to do with the breach per se, but the whale energy.
Yeah.
There's a couple places here on island when the whales are here that you can, when you're snorkeling, you get around to the certain point and you suddenly can hear like an amplified version of all the whales just chatting, singing, scolding, talking, whatever they're doing. And that, man, that
Amazing.
connects you immediately to this whole sense of wonder and magic. It's really great. It's just wonderful, isn't it? It's really great. I just love, I love what you read there. I love the things it makes us think. It's just such fun. Really is. All right,
It
well,
really
you tell me
is.
when you're ready. If you
So
want me to
I'm
flip around,
ready.
I'm
I
going to
am
flip
ready.
around. Everybody, hold your hats. Here we go. If you're wearing them.
Woo!
If you're not, go get a hat and then wear it. Okay, so I'm going to see. It takes a minute for my computer to catch up with my doing, but with any luck, there we are. And let me get this a little bit sorted so we can see a little better. Okay,
There you go.
okay.
Yeah.
Trying to make that straight because I know it can be very crazy when you're trying to look at something and it's all over the place. It's like, ah, crap, what's happening? Straighten up, Christy, straighten up. So, okay,
I don't know if this will
so
work
what we've
or
got,
not
what
for
I've got
me, but
here is I've just got this little teeny whale, and I thought we would do. This is not a humpback, and it's not big fin. So I may.
it's just a cute little
Right.
cute
Sorry,
little
not
whale.
sorry. But I'll bring it up. Let's see if I can bring it up to the camera a little bit more so you can kind of see it. I thought the reason why it's not is I thought I would make the simplest whale that I can make. And you can make that out of any color clay and any type of clay that you have. So if you, I just mixed up this light blue because why not?
Right.
But you could have a pink whale, a purple whale, whatever. So I'm using polymer clay. Polymer clay is just stuff like this. I use Primo, that's my favorite, and there's different packaging. I think this is the newer packaging, so it says Primo on it somewhere. And you just mix it, your colors together through the warmth of your hand by like rolling it and folding it. So if you're new to polymer clay, you can head over to my YouTube channel, and if anybody of our links pals wants to pop up a link for that, I forgot to do that. But uh, I'm going to take just a little ball here. But on my YouTube
So
channel, I have quite a
did
number.
you twist up two different colors?
I did. I had some
Okay.
white floating around and some blue, and I tend to throw this granite into everything.
I'm just gonna try. I
Excuse
have
me.
some blue and some silver, so I think
That'll
I'll
look
go with
pretty
those
together.
two and see what happens.
Yeah, just mash it around, and then some people will use a pasta machine or a roller to kind of make that nice and warm and mixed together, and they call it conditioning the clay. It just gets it ready to use. And I always have extra because we're going to have to add, a little fin on there, right?
Mm.
And I also have this thing on my site. I've got a little vial of eyeballs that you can buy, but these are just little bits of glass on a little wire, right? And I use them for everything, but you can use a little black glass rhinestone or a crystal or a bead or a whatever you got. You can even use just a little ball of black clay, but I'm going to use that for the eye. And then I will also use some powders, but you don't have to. You can just play. I've got a whole assortment of tools. If you go on my website, you can buy these tools, of course, but whatever you got lying around. I mean, you could use a toothpick and, a little kitchen knife, whatever. As you enjoy doing clay, you will find tools that make you happy. And again, like I said on my website, I've got a lot of different how-tos and basics and things, but there's a lot of information out there. Okay.
Janet says that I'm making a very large whale. Janet, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just
She's just mixing, man.
I'm
She's
just
mixing.
mixing.
Well, I'll tell you what, once you do mix your color, and you can leave all those stripes and stuff in there if you want to, good, you've got some over there because we'll need a little fin. So I'm taking this ball, and you can make the ball whatever size you want. You can have it massive Kristen size or little small chocolate truffle size, whatever makes you happy. And I'm going to roll it into like a sort of a teardroppy shape. That's our first little trick there. Danita, thank you. She put a link up to those little eyeballs. And I also have an influencer page on Amazon, and you can get to that through my website as well. But I will show you where to get them in bulk if you prefer it that way. So now what I want to do is I want to turn this into the whale, which means I have a big fat face and it's tapering into a tail, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to imagine his little fat belly there. I am flattening it a little bit because this would be a great whale to like glue onto a journal cover or to put on a little piece of wood or card, like mat board and paint around it or whatever. I'm not trying to make it dimensional like a 3D sculpture. This is more something that you could turn into a pendant or glue onto something. I think that'd be fun. So what I'm going to do now is this going to become the whale face in a minute, but what I want to do is I want to separate whale body from whale tail. So all I'm doing is kind of squishing to sort of make like a bowling ball pin. So I'm kind of squishing and using my fingers to taper the body, and then there's going to be just this lump over here, and you can just flatten that lump. So you get this kind of a funky shape, right? So whatever little tool you got lying around, you can just then cut something off, or you can rip it off with your fingers. You can bite it off with your teeth, but I don't recommend that. So I'm trying to make like a goldfish shape, right? Because I find like some of the easiest way for me to make this tail is I get this sort of, it's flattened, and if you have a tool lying around, which I do, I can just press an indentation. You can use any tool for that or your fingers, but that's the center part. It's good if you can make it symmetrical, which I never seem to be able to do on the first go round, but I can always pinch that off. And I'm going to keep flattening this. So see how it's making it a little bit more flattened? And all I'm going to do is just sort of pull this out and make it into this sort of tail shape. And then to make it a whale tail, all I do is pinch the end and make it look like a mustache. So see, I can't pay the rent. You must pay the rent. So I'm flattening it here. I'm pinching this little end on there, and then I'm just pinching and turning that up a little bit so it just kind of curves. Now that's not an exact whale tail, but that is going to be whale tail adjacent, which I think is just perfect. All right, so take a look at what we got there, because that's the important part. So I'll put it down so you can kind of see it. In fact, let me see if I can move it up towards my camera, which is always tricky because I got to be looking at this upside down. So there we are. All right, so there's the whale tail. Sorry, takes me a few moments. But if yours ends up without, lots of detail like this, but you like it still, that's okay. All right, so now we've got a little bit of a tail, a little bit of a taper there. I'm making sure this is a little bit flat. And I wanted to have this tail kind of poking up in the sky. If you want to make yours breaching or doing some other pose, you do that, man. I think that's a great idea. And Danny put down the tool that I just used. This is my favorite tool for many things because it's got this fun little wedgy thing. So these are not cheap. They're like 22 bucks a pop, but they are fabulous. And anybody on here that has used these tools will tell you immediately. So Kristen, I love where you're going with that. My suggestion is make the space after the flukes before you get to the body a little bit skinnier and longer. Then you can kind of curve it uphill a little bit, which I think is otherwise it has a little bit more fish and a little less whale. Okay, so now we're going to make a smile on this guy. And you can use a toothpick or a needle tool or a whatever. And I'm going to just start here. Now see how I'm making a little line right up here. So he's got a big underbite. This is a whale thing. They're going to have a smaller upper lip and a bigger lower one. And then once I've kind of made that indentation, I'm just going to take this and just make it be all big and smiley. So he gets giant, giant, giant smile, right? Because the eye then lives right down over here. Because their eyes are considerably back in their heads. And then I'm going to take my little bead of whatever kind of bead or thing you got. It has to be able to go in the oven. So no plastic, but anything that is stone, glass, crystal is going to work just fine. Okay, so see what we've got so far? We're having a good old whale look there, right? Okay.
Good old whale of a time.
Whale of a time.
So did you, to make your little mouth, you just did a little indentation?
Yes.
Okay.
So what I did is I took a tool and I used it on its side to kind of make an indentation up at the top. And you notice he's got a lot more jaw than this guy does. So if you don't like how much jaw there is, you can always manipulate it around. But I make this little indentation first, and then I take my tool, and again, a toothpick can work just fine, and I keep it kind of like along the surface so that I can press in that big old smile, because it goes all the way into the body like that. And then a typical whale look is then to have these little lines, because that's how they eat. They've got this big pouch that they grab a whole mouthful of fish and water, and then they squeeze all the water out through the baleen teeth, and it acts like a net where they squish out all that water, and all the krill or the whatever fish or whatever's inside gets stuck, and then they can swallow that down. So we want to make the indentations, which are the pleats for mouth expansion. So I've made just a couple of those, and you don't even have to do that if you don't want to, but secretly I'll be a little disappointed in you if you don't. I'm just saying, not a lot, just a little. But I think that really works. It makes it look very very whaley. And of course, somebody has brought out in other times is that I'm on selfie mode. So it's probably, flipped. It's mine. I'm looking at it being right-handed. My whale is looking to the left. You guys are seeing it the other way around. So whatever works best for you. So we should have kind of something like that. So Kristen, going good?
I think so. Let's see if
good. You're
flip it
making do with
down.
whatever tools you've got, and that's working just great. I love that.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I'm using a tweezer, like a long tweezer that we sell at
Yeah,
Softlex Company.
I love that. Very. I mean, that's just what we do as creatives, huh? We just find what we have and we make it work. So now what I'm doing is I just put a little indentation with whatever tool you got lying around. I got various tools because I'm going to put his little flipper there. Now, this is not a humpback. Humpbacks are more slender. They have ginormous flippers. I'm doing just the cutesy whale. So all I'm going to do is take a little ball of clay, maybe a little bit more than that, and roll it into a ball, and then turn that ball into kind of an eyeball shape by making a pinch on one end and the other. So you've got sort of this eyeball-y shape going on, if I can show you that, and then flatten it. So it's a leaf by the time you get done with it. And then I'm just going to take that little leaf and stick it into that little hole indentation part and smash it on there. And that gives a nice place for that to rest. Okay. So, excuse me, essentially your whale is done, but I love to use powders when I'm creating. And I have quite a number of little YouTube stuff about using powders, and you can look both in the videos, the shorts, and the lives. There's different things in each category, and I think somebody put the link up to my YouTube channel as well. And if
I
so,
did see that. Yeah.
Great. I'm going to take some little pink powder. Now I use pan pastel a lot. Pan pastel is my favorite. I talk about that. I'm not going to belabor that. You can use any kind of chalk powder you have. I'm putting a little bit of pink on the cheek because why not? And then I'm going to just take a little bit of the darker blue and put some up on the tail flukes. And what I do is I just get a little bit of powder on my brush. I put it on the places where I want the most amount of powder, around the eye, edges of tails and such. And then I'm going to blend that all out in a minute in the mouth area. Then I'm going to go clean my brush. I have a little carpet square that I got from a hardware store, and I can just clean the powders out of my brush. And then I can go and blend this so that everything is just nice and smooth. And definitely,
that's really interesting. Your little carpet.
I know, it's so helpful. It's like a little eraser for powders. And I always put, powder around the eye because I feel like most animals would do mascara given a chance. So, I'm make sure they're all dressed up. And I tend to put like a little bit of brown, maybe here and there, just because I can and it's fun. So it's just kind of play with it. If you haven't done powders before, it's really easy to go overboard and get too much. And then there's a lot of crying and sadness. Don't worry if that happens. You're learning. What you can do is you can use bits of tape, just plain old little sticky tape here, and it can take off powders that is too much. It's not 100%. Sometimes it leaves some residue, but it definitely can help. If you feel like you just went a little bit too crazy and you're having regrets, it can let you kind of unregret things a little bit. But what's the worst that can happen? It's a big fat mess. Okay, fine. Two things. You can wad it all up and start again because it's just clay and you're having fun, which is great. Or you can bake it and then paint it, because that is also a thing with powders. I mean, with polymer clay, it doesn't have to, be just what you decided it was. It is what you want it to be. So here is the little whale that I just did. Let me get that where you can see it.
Oh my gosh,
it's just
so
very simple. And look at yours, Kristen. Man, you have kept right up and you are going nuts. So if you want, you can poke a hole on yours where the eye would be,
That's
and you
what
can add a bead
my
later if you like. I like the bead just because they are a nice contrast and, you know, whatever. But if you don't have a bead right at your fingertips, which would be crazy if you didn't, you can just poke a little hole and just put a little bit of darker colored clay, a little ball of clay as his eyeball that way if you like. But I
That's what
love
I was
having
thinking.
glass beads.
I'm gonna find a little glass bead to
Oh,
put in
good.
here.
I think that's always the best look because it's just we look at the eyes. The eyes are everything. So if the eye is sort of this dull zombie death eye, then it's like, well, that's not fun. But if it's this little round dark bead, you go right to it. It's cute. It's sparkling. It's fun. It just makes you happy. So it's a big part of the success of a little sculptural piece if the eyes are done well. So
So
that's
now
nice.
I do feel like my whale's a little, I mean, whales are chunky, but so he's a little bit chunky.
Yes.
But
Perfect, as it
that's okay.
should be. So it's more like a blue whale, sperm whale, which is what I wasn't doing a humpback, because humpbacks are much more slender than some. So think of this as just the love child of a sperm whale and a beluga, and they
Yes.
just had this cute little sperm-luga whale, and that's
Sperm
just
luga.
how that is. And he's just cute. He's got his baby fat on. He's good. Everything's great.
Oh,
He's
I know. I have
happy.
to. I don't know which bead yet, so I'm gonna have to find a bead in my stash that'll work. Dawn
And you know,
says
you
that
can get fun with like a bead cap, bead combination. I mean, that's the fun thing about, you know, using your bead supplies and jewelry supplies with our clay is
yeah,
because, you know, you start looking at all the stash, you go, oh, that looks like a this, and I could do that, and da. You know, it's like creativity just, it kind of, things create themselves if you just let that flow with you. And sometimes it takes a bit of practice to get to that flow state, but it does happen. Oh, Dawn says she's got a hot pink fabulous whale. Yes.
yeah. She said
Yes.
she wanted hot
Awesome.
pink, so it took over all of the colors.
Oh,
Colleen's looks like a
wonderful.
shark.
Oh, that's fun. I love that. Sharks are people too. Danny was mentioning about the piece of sticky tape. Clean those things up. Janine, eyes of the to the window to the whale's soul. The whale's
Oh
been eating.
yeah,
Kristen's whale's been eating a lot of krill. Happy,
yeah.
got lots of krill in there.
Got lots of
All good.
krill.
Yeah.
Happy my whale's getting. I only have a little bit of this gold flash stuff from you. Hopefully
Oh,
this
but
is
isn't
okay
that
to make.
wonderful fun? Now you get
Yeah.
this sort of gilded magic look. So she's definitely got this fun magic. I don't even carry that anymore, but
Oh,
it's
do you?
just gold mica powder. So yeah, so if you're into powders, get all of the powders, all of the powders.
Yeah.
Whatever you want will go on clay. Glitter goes on clay. Everything goes on polymer clay. Just
Yeah.
have fun with
I
it.
definitely have to get into the pan pastels
Oh,
though. So
oh,
one of these days I'll get some of those. I do have all like natural earth
oh,
ultramarine
that
blue.
stuff is fantastic. Yeah,
So I'm
baby. Yeah, you could
curious
use
if
that.
that would
Any
kind of
powder,
work.
pigment powders like that, chalk powders, mica powders, pastel powders, they all will work. And those are very
Ooh.
concentrated powders.
They
They are
they have,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks
they
for
are
mentioning that.
beautiful.
Colleen said she was using mica powder, and I went, "Oh, I can
I got
spin
mica
right
powder.
around and grab some of that."
Well, I'll tell you, I feel like, and you know this when you're a painter too, all of your pigment powders, your pastel powders, all of those work with your paints. If you're an encaustic, you can add them into encaustics. You know, you can mix them into so many things. It's just, it's powders are amazing because they let you have a nuance of color. Like this is the first one I did, the little prototype one. Is you can see that there's like I put turquoise on his nose, and there's darker blues on all the highlight parts, and he's got a little pink mouth, and he's even got some browns on his chin. You know, all
Oh,
of
look
those
at
little
that little
things just
pink little
take it to the next
cheek. I
level.
love the little pink
Little
cheek.
pink cheek, I know, right?
So cute. Janine is
Mine's a
saying
little,
that the pan pastels last for a long time. They do.
oh
A
my
very
gosh.
little bit goes a long way.
It
So,
really, really does. Like I have had my set, and you can see I'm down to I can see the plastic now, but I've had this set for about 5 years. I use it constantly, and it also went with me for more than a year of traveling and teaching where everybody else used it too. And I haven't had to replace any of them yet. My white is getting to where, so you can see I've got a backup now. I've got my second white ready to take over when this one's done. And I am not neat with things too. All of my powders tend to be a little bit messy. But yeah, it just keeps on going. And it's
So,
nice. So I think the
question:
reason why I like it is
how long do I bake this for?
um
I did grab my old toaster oven when we got a new one, and I put it aside, especially for
ah
when this opportunity would present itself.
excellent. Oh, I love your shiny chin on that guy. Look how cute is that. Uh, well, I have a video on my YouTube about baking, so it's really good. Anybody who's kind of new on that can just kind of watch that a little bit. The basically the way the polymer clays work, and all of your polymer clay packaging will have written on it somewhere, so you don't have to remember, but it'll tell you the time and the temperature. But essentially, you're going to preheat your oven with an oven thermometer inside, and the reason why that's important is ovens are dirty, rotten liars. They have a knob that says everything is great, and inside it's like, oh no, it isn't. We're way too cold, or we're way too hot, and everything is wrong. So you got to let the oven heat up for about 15 minutes for two reasons: to let your oven get to temperature, because some of them spike to get down to temperature, which is when you can burn things. But also your thermometer takes a little while to catch up. So you might be going, oh, it's perfect temperature. It's like, no, it isn't. Your thermometer is just old and slow. So, let it 15 minutes and it'll get to the temperature. Then I usually bake it on a tile. So you can see I've got these on a little ceramic tile. Pop that straight in the oven. It's about 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes. Maybe they've changed it. Let me read it on here so I can tell you exactly, because they are saying different things now, and they put them different places too. 30 minutes per quarter-inch of thickness. So essentially, our little whales have at least a half an inch of thickness on them. They need to be in the oven for about an hour. So I bake everything of mine 45 minutes to an hour, no matter what.
Gotcha.
And that is good. So I like preheat the oven, put it in, let it go for its hour, turn it off or set the timer, however your oven works, and then just let it cool in the oven. That is like the most important part about polymer, because if it's not baked long enough or hot enough, it will be, how adorable is that? I love it. You did so good. I'm glad you did your clay. I'm glad you breathed out of your comfort zone to be into the realm of clay. But yeah, if it's not long enough, it's fragile and breaks. If it's too much, it scorches or burns. But that's really the only thing. Everything else, just playing with it and getting familiar with it. But yeah. But
awesome.
We good, kids.
We did good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Christy. It was lovely to chat and break me out of my norm and do something with polymer clay today. I'm gonna go look for the perfect little eyeball and test out trying to bake this beauty.
Yeah, I know it's gonna go great, and I just want to remind everybody, in creativity, I'm sure this is something you talk about a lot, the process of making it is the magic. If you also get something good when you're done that you get to keep, share, whatever, then that's icing on the cake. But that's not where the magic is. The magic is in the making. So don't get down on yourself if the first piece you mess up or you burn it or whatever. It's part of learning.
Yeah.
That's just the skill of managing your material. That's not the same as the creative part. So the creative part is the most important part.
Exactly. So where can everyone find you all over the interwebs? Christy?
Everywhere. Just put in Christi Friesen and I'll just pop right on up everywhere. That's easy enough. The best thing I would say is you just go to my website, the christifriesen.com, which I'll pop up here. And that will give you links to everything else. So you can find, different memberships. You can find out where my groups are. Just press all the buttons. And
she's got Christy has tons of tutorials that you can purchase on there too. There is,
including one on these whales. That it's called Deep Connections, and it's looking up from underneath at a mom and baby whale. So let me see if this shows a picture of it.
And that one's a little different in that it is a wall hanging piece, which is lovely to learn how to make, little sculptures. You can make components and beads, but you can also make something just for the wall and to hang on and enjoy as a piece of artwork. So I love that.
Thank you. Thank you. And I can see people combining it with some of the painting that they do with you. Is you can glue your piece onto a canvas and then create a universe around them. So it's all that great. Like Suzanne is talking about the lovely pictures in your background, which I know you have all of those. And that's a thing you do with people regularly, right? Is you have some painting time together, don't you?
I do. do. Yeah. So I've got the free group Discover Your Creative Magic here on Facebook, but I also have a membership. Any other workshops or things I'm doing over at kristinfagen.com. And the one up here is called Elemental Flow. That was the first series we did in the membership, and we came together once a month for 4 months, and we went through each of the elements. So we started with air, and that's where my little birds and stuff came from, and then we moved into water, and we moved into earth and fire, and everyone's piece comes out different. So you don't make just like you do, Christy, like you don't necessarily make exactly what I make. I just hold the space in the container and sort of set up the guidelines, and then you do you. And it's a really fun way to kind of tap into your own creative magic. And I love that way of working, because at the end of the day, I don't want you to just copy me and then not know how to approach this creative magic on your own. I want to help you to figure out where your painting style comes in, what you like to do, and kind of help coax it out of you to get to your own place where you can show up and create, from your own heart and your own soul. And so I've done workshops and things like that were group things or in person, but I am working on doing some more just one-off classes that will be available online. So that's in the works. But the membership is the greatest way to kind of do stuff with me regularly at the moment.
But I love that idea that you were talking about there, Kristen, of us connecting with each other to do these flow, and you have I feel like, and I think all of us are kind of coming to this realization that the connections that we have with each other are so important. And if you're a creative, you get the double whammy of not only having creativity, which is its own kind of magic, but that you've got the connectivity, which is just like powers up, man. It's really cool. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a good time.
For sure.
This was so much fun.
Yeah. I appreciate you asking me. We always have a good time, and never seems to be enough time, but I'll take every little bit I can get from you.
So sending you all, you and Maui and the nature and the people of the island, all lots of love right now. Okay. All right. We'll talk to you all soon.
All right, guys.
For joining me.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Kristen. Bye, everybody.
Bye.